Stealing a pair of underpants, hey, it's the kind of thing that you would expect teenagers to engage in, but what happens if it involves a practicing attorney? Well, let's take a look at this week's case. It involves a real man, Benjamin Stansberry. Now, Benjamin was a prosecutor, a criminal prosecutor in Iowa. And in his role as a supervisor, he supervised a couple of other people, including 2 females that were on his staff. And in one instance, he went to see one of these attorneys who he was supervising at her home. He had texted her and said, I've got to talk to you about this case. And he showed up at her home, and he had his 3-year-old son with him. She was mowing the lawn. He said, can you take care of my son? I'm going to go in and use the bathroom if I may. And she said, yes, you can go ahead and do that. I'll watch your 3-year-old son. So he did. On the way out, he passed by her bedroom, and he noted her underwear drawer, and he removed a pair of underwear pants. Yes, he did. And he then proceeded to have his conversation with her and left. But unlike some kleptomaniacs, Benjamin did not hang on to the underwear pants, and he dropped them in the driveway. She saw them after he left and said, what is this? Realized it was her underwear and complained and brought an ethics charge, and also then brought a criminal charge since she was in the DA's office. The charge that she brought was theft and trespass. Okay, so what does Benjamin do? Well, he's not only embarrassed, but he said, I guess this is really bad news. So he resigned his position, and he pled guilty to the charges of trespass and theft. But in this instance, a ethics violation was also opened by the State Bar of Iowa, and they looked at this and said, this is very demeaning to the practice of law. This is not the kind of thing that should be done, and you're showing disrespect for your fellow attorneys. And so it went up to the Iowa Supreme Court, and there the court said, you know what, Benjamin, this is bad news. This is just bad news. You shouldn't be engaged in this kind of conduct, and they suspended his license. He has to wait for a year to seek actual reinstitution of his license, and then when he does that, he needs to be seen by a certified healthcare provider to make sure that he is mentally competent to practice law. Okay, now what do we learn from this? Pretty stupid conduct is what we see here. But what we learn from this is while teenagers and maybe young adults or even mature adults can engage in this kind of conduct, when it's engaged in by a lawyer, there can be big deal consequences. And in this instance, the big deal consequence to him was he lost his job. He was subject to an ethics violation so that he lost his license for at least a year. He can't practice as a lawyer for at least a year, could go longer. And of course, then there is all the publicity that attaches to it, and his reputation is pretty badly tarnished. Okay, purpose of this is to show that lawyers are held to a very high standard of conduct. And what other people might view as horseplay is not viewed as horseplay by those who police the bar, and can wind up with some very serious punishment. Okay, bring you this case, we bring cases every week so you understand how the law works. I'm David Allen.